You're listening to Spring River Chronicle. Audio on the go.
First National Banking Company. Get checking that pays with Super Plus Checking at FNBC.
Local funeral director loses license. 9 separate factual allegations were brought against the owner of Higginbotham Funeral Service Incorporated and 2 employees. By Lauren Siebert. The Arkansas State Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors met in Little Rock, January 10, to discuss allegations against the actions of officers or employees of Higginbotham Funeral Service Incorporated, which has 2 locations, one located in Hardy and the other in Walnut Ridge. 9 separate factual allegations were brought against Vice President Darren Pinkston, apprentice Seth Simpson and the owner of Higginbotham Funeral Service, Mary Jo Higginbotham. Formal charges include, Mary Jo Higginbotham, a licensed funeral director and owner of Higginbotham Funeral Services, has violated ARC Code Section 17-29-3118 and E by aiding and abetting Darren Pinkston, who was not a licensed funeral director or embalmer, to practice funeral directing and embalming, and to hold himself out as a funeral director and embalmer. Darren Pinkston acted as a funeral director at a time he was not licensed in violation of ARC Code Section 17-29-311 and H. Darren Pinkston has held himself out as a funeral director at a time when he was not a licensed funeral director in violation of ARC Code Section 17-29-311 and H. Mary Jo Higginbotham, as owner of Higginbotham Funeral Services, is responsible for the actions of unlicensed personnel of the funeral home. Board Rule 4-2 Funeral Establishment Type A Full-Service Funeral Firms, Subparagraph F Unlicensed employee Seth Simpson violated the act by embalming dead human bodies. ARC Code Section 17-29-311H. According to court documents, Vice President Pinkston and apprentice Simpson were seen carrying out the duties of a funeral director and embalmer, which requires specific education and license to perform those duties. Neither Pinkston or Simpson are currently licensed with the Arkansas State Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors. Sources have indicated that after hearing witness testimony and reviewing evidence, the board revoked Mary Jo Higginbotham's personal funeral director's license, and that all 3 parties have been assessed civil penalties for an undisclosed amount. A paper trail of misconduct or misfeasance has been previously established beginning in 2009, in a court case Higginbotham Burial Association and Mary Jo Higginbotham v. Arkansas Burial Association Board.
You're listening to Spring River Chronicle. Audio on the go.
First National Banking Company. Get checking that pays with Super Plus Checking at FNBC.
Williford Library additional hours denied. Library main advocate asking for library to be open additional 3 hours per week. By Lauren Siebert. The Sharp County Library Board held its first quarterly meeting of the year January 4, to discuss the budget and the concerns of those who had requested to be added to the agenda for the meeting. Marilyn Bischoff, the Williford Library main advocate, attended in representation of the Williford Library. Bischoff was among the first to speak once the budget discussion had ended. According to Bischoff, the Williford Library is in need of extending their hours to serve the community. I feel that we're still being treated like second-class citizens, Bischoff said, that we cover as much territory and probably more territory for our services than Evening Shade and Cave City. They have 21 hours. We only have 18, that we really fought to get from our 12 we had in our old library, and now they will not grant us 3 more hours, to make us 21 hours like the other libraries. Bischoff said that by removing an hour from Saturday, and pairing it with an additional 3 hours per week would give the Williford Library an extra day during each week to operate. I feel it has a big impact, because we're always hearing from people we come by but you're never there. Bischoff noted, so consequently if we had 3 more hours, we could take 1 hour off of Saturday and make a 4-hour day, and be there in the morning on Wednesday. The SCLB stated that the issue had been addressed at the last meeting, which took place in October 2011, and that a decision had already been made at the previous meeting. The board noted they would stand firm in their decision until a year had passed from the time the decision was made. When it was originally presented at the October meeting, it was not presented very well, Bischoff said. I was not on the agenda then. This time I requested to be on the agenda so I could present it. After hearing what the board had to say about her request, Bischoff stated that although the issue had been presented previously, it was not presented in the correct manner. It was given no more credence, and no more attention, and no more value then, than it was this time, and they had a whole lot more statistics this time. Bischoff argued that all other Sharp County libraries had at least 21 hours per week in which they could operate. We all need more hours. Hardy has 46.5 hours. The branches all have 21 except for Williford, Bischoff said. They all have patrons and constituency. A lot of them would be able to access the branches, if the branches were open more hours. The board argued that the Williford Library did not have enough traffic to justify an extra 3 hours per week in order to operate. According to Bischoff, the Wilford Library has over 200 cards issued, and that the library serves far beyond the population of 63 in the city of Wilford itself, as the library is situated directly on Highway 63 next to the American Legion. Bischoff went on to say that it would be extremely beneficial to the community if the Wilford Library were able to be open an extra day. The SCLB stated that they had not received record of this, and that the Wilford Library would remain at 18 hours per week until a year had passed from the time the initial decision was made, and that they would not allow it to be discussed again until that time. I'm continuing the fight, because I know how important it is to offer these services to the people in these remote areas, that do not have access to the internet, or that it's too expensive, Bischoff said, adding, also, gas prices are so high. Anytime anybody can be offered a service that's near their home, they should be able to avail themselves of that service. The only way that's going to happen is for the library to be open.
You're listening to Spring River Chronicle. Audio on the go.
First National Banking Company. Get checking that pays with Super Plus Checking at FNBC.
HOMA benefit a rousing success. Live auction and concert raised over $11,000 for medical bills. By Lauren Siebert. Over 350 people attended the benefit for John HOMA on January 8 at the A.L. Hudson Center. Auctions were held, along with a wide variety of musical entertainment, and were successful in raising over $11,000 so far from the community to help with medical bills accrued during HOMA's stay in the hospital. People began flooding the building by 1 p.m., an hour before the scheduled start time. According to one attendee at the event, it was amazing to see so many people so early, when the event didn't officially begin until 2. At 2 p.m., the event was opened with prayer, followed by music. The first group began to play and it seemed to really just hit people what was really going on, how big this was really going to be, one attendee noted. Those present were treated to the resonating sounds of different styles of music even as they entered the parking lot. Upon entering the building, participants in the event walked through the silent auction, taking place on either side of the upper level of the A.L. Hudson Gym. The live auction and entertainment was taking place on the gym floor, and between the different sets and styles of musicians setting up, items would be auctioned off. They auctioned off everything from baked goods to handmade rugs, homemade canned goods, TVs, one participant said, adding, I was surprised by all the different things there actually were. While the entertainment was ongoing, people continued to pour through the door, some even bringing additional items for the event. According to one source, when Sarah Jo Rourke took the mic to begin her set, silence filled the room, as her voice resonated, leaving the crowd, and all the River Girls received a standing ovation when Brenda Barnett sang Bobby McGee in the style of Janis Joplin. Everyone literally stood up and cheered. It's been a while since I've seen someone who could pull off Janis like that, one person in attendance stated. A local group, the China Shop Bulls, consisting of 3 Highland high schoolers, performed 21 Guns by Green Day. One of the trio played the Mario Brothers theme song, as well as the popular Angry Birds theme song with Dennis Horton, of Horton's Music. A guitar was auctioned off with the signatures of each musician who had played the event. It was bought by an individual in the audience and given to the HOMADs. As the event drew to a close, the HOMADs took the stage to thank everyone for all their support. We thank each and every one of you who worked so hard to make the benefit so successful, Barbara HOMAD said, each and every one of you who contributed or attended. The music touched our hearts in ways you can't even imagine. Never in our wildest dreams did we ever know how many people cared about us. Hardy has been our promised land. Thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. This is a very special community, one in which, no matter the circumstance, we will always find a way of coming together to help and really make a difference in people's lives. Thank you to all who helped to make this event possible, for all the contributions and the time and effort. Because of this community, over $11,000 was raised. The John HOMA benefit account will be open at FNBC for an additional 2 weeks to continue to accept donations.
You're listening to Spring River Chronicle. Audio on the go.
First National Banking Company. Get checking that pays with Super Plus Checking at FNBC.
Vandals strike Old Kierkima. Buildings defaced with obscenities, historical items damaged or destroyed. By Lauren Siebert. Old Kierkima Camp in Cherokee Village was vandalized January 7 by 2 juvenile males. I got a call about 1:20 p.m. on Saturday, Rob Driesel, a member on the board of directors for Old Kierkima, said. It was Guard Dogs Security, a local security company. Authorities were alerted when the camp's security system sent out an alarm. They said an alarm had gone off on one of the doors. They had already dispatched the police department, Driesel said. I went down there then, because the police had already apprehended the 2 vandals. Driesel continued, they wanted me to get down there with the key so I could unlock the buildings and see what other damage had been done. At first glance, the damage did not appear to be more than knocked over trash cans. However, as the camp was examined, the damages were found to be extensive. When we got to investigating the property and looking around, there was lots of graffiti. Driesel noted, they had graffitied the tongue and groove doors, graffitied bronze plaques that are going to have to be sent off and redone, and put back into place. According to Driesel, almost every structure located on the 5-acre camp had been vandalized, and the dollar amount of the damage is still being assessed. Bill LeCount with WSL will be doing our estimate, but he hasn't had time to go look at the damages and give us an estimate yet, Driesel said. Crude obscenities, racial slanders, and sexually degrading phrases had been spray-painted on irreplaceable and historical architecture. They graffitied the old 97 bridge, which is a tribute to Scouting. In itself, it's a gorgeous piece of artwork, Driesel said. Engraved bricks, which had been purchased by patrons in honor of former Scout masters and relics of Boy Scout tradition, had been broken and defaced. One of the bricks they destroyed is part of our Kierkima Forever Foundation, Driesel said. To get one of those bricks lasered, someone had to give at least $1,000 to the camp. Windows had been broken out, and screens of doors were ripped out, revealing more graffiti at every turn during the search of the property. They had kicked in multiple doors and windows, and tore up some roofing, Driesel said. The damage was so much, that as we got to looking at it, the sicker we got, and it came a point where we kind of shut down. According to Driesel, charges have been filed, and he hopes the juveniles will be sentenced to work out the debt at Old Kierkima. We would really like it if they were the ones to help take care of the camp for maybe even a year, and learn what that camp is really all about. Although Old Kierkima had already had a security system in place, it has since been expanded, and plans are in place to look at the system further, to make sure it is airtight. Our security system is in place, and we have video surveillance and the security system. The video is the one thing few people know where it is, Driesel said. As far as the alarm system, we have expanded that. There were some places they got into that we never had really thought about putting an alarm, Driesel noted. Even though there is nothing of value in those places, maybe if we would have had them on there, they wouldn't have been able to do as much damage. Driesel stated that he felt this vandalism was proof of a need in the community for more youth activities. Even if funding is scarce, youth organizations are a vital part of any community. If we don't step up and start finding ways to fund these organizations to help these kids out, more of this is to come, Driesel said. The kids don't have anything to do and aren't learning any civic responsibility.
Thanks for listening to Spring River Chronicle Audio on the Go. Be sure to subscribe to the paper and check us out online at myspringriver.com.